So a major author recently received backlash after a back and forth with fans, and there's many things that could be said about this after all is said and done. The author of Hunter x Hunter has a very promising update regarding the series' return, and it seems like this time around things are going to be a little bit different regarding Hunter x Hunter's return. We got another major update regarding Demon Slayer and what it is doing to the point of, well, once again it's been brought up about how close it's getting to surpassing a certain major series. And we got so many other stories, but without further ado, let's jump into another exciting episode of Forever News! The only news source that provides anything and everything anime and manga related, and we don't bore you. We get into it. Let's do it.
It's me, baby. Shorty, I'm golden. Don't gotta worry about nobody else. I'll make it obvious.
And before we continue, hit that subscribe button and that bell so you can get notified on anything and everything in the world of anime and manga. I got the updates. Hit them buttons. You will be notified. Okay, people, so in case you don't know, recently there was a major controversy regarding the author of Gachi Akuta. It's one of the hot series that is on the block right now after the anime debut. A lot of people are talking about it. And the author, Urana, is for the most part pretty known on the internet because they're very active on social media and things of that nature. And well, recently the author kind of had a bit of a back and forth with fans regarding a certain aspect of essentially fans doing OCs, essentially original characters, and utilizing the manga Gachi Akuta as essentially the template. And before I give my opinion on this, because I do got quite a bit to say on it, I want to read exactly what went down. And I also want people to be a little bit open-minded as to listening to the whole situation before just immediately jumping to conclusions. Because after this whole thing went down, essentially the author was receiving a lot of backlash on the internet, definitely some support, but a good chunk of it was people being upset at the way Urana responded to this whole scenario. Because from what I've seen, it all started off with essentially somebody on the internet said, haven't seen anyone make any Raiders manga cover template that's free to use for everyone, so I decided to make it myself. Essentially they did something utilizing Gachi Akuta and they did it themselves, and Urana responded with, not recommended. Stop doing things that diminish the value of this design, especially if you're using it for your OC, and don't use the official hashtag for your OC. The other day I saw someone making the delusional claim that Urana liked my OC. I've kept quiet until now, but let me make this clear. I do not approve of OCs. Keep that sort of thing to yourself. I've seen people saying things like, I'll give you my idea, but I decline. I appreciate your love for Gachi Akuta, but it's time to establish some order. Thank you for your support. And that wasn't really what kicked things off as far as the backlash came, because then a bit after this came out, because again, more people were utilizing Gachi Akuta to create original characters. I previously asked people not to turn the cover design into a template, yet some are still doing it. Comments like Gachi Akuta is only popular because of Gachi Akuta OCs, or are you denying our creativity, are missing the point. Please understand the boundary between fan works and the official material. And essentially from there on, a lot of people on the internet were kind of up in arms about this thing. Some were defending Urana, but there was a large portion that were essentially saying like, yo, so you're basically upset at people doing fan art and kind of trying to regulate how they do fan art. And anybody that has ever followed me on any social media platform ever and seen what I'm like when it comes to, you know, creators and in particular manga authors and how much I champion them and support them, you would know where I reside when it comes to situations like this most of the time. In all honesty, whenever an author is going through some situation like this or under attack, I'm normally in support of the author. I usually try to look at, you know, what the situation is, but several times, yeah, the authors usually are in the right and the fans be bugging out or the supporters be bugging out. But in this situation, I gotta be honest. I definitely think that while, yeah, if Urana has certain wishes about like, yo, you know, how they want certain things to be done, ultimately, once you reach a certain point of whether it be popularity or in general just eyes being on you, no matter how you feel about these things, the reality of it, not the wishful thinking, the reality of it is the fact that, you know, the people that support the works, they want to support the works in the ways that they know how, and they want to support the works and enjoy supporting the works in several different variations, whether it be, again, cosplay, content, or even fan art. I want to be very clear with what I say about this thing. By no means am I saying that she's saying don't do fan art, but essentially she's trying to a certain degree, regulate fan art and how it's done with Gachiakuta. And honestly, I'm gonna tell this author right now, if this author happens to come across this video or this message somehow, some way gets relayed to Urana, this is definitely the wrong approach when it comes to your works. And ultimately, if things like this continue on, it's just going to reflect poorly on Urana. Because most importantly, going back and forth with the people that support the work is never a good idea. And it'd be a different story if this person was clearly in the right, and ultimately it's like, you know, the people are doing horrible things, or they're slandering Urana, or they're doing something really in a negative fashion. Considering the fact that whether it be that they're utilizing the character templates to create OCs or whatnot, which ultimately just helps to boost the popularity, at the end of the day, people know, of course, that Urana is the author of Gachiakuta. That's very clear. So there's not going to be any discrepancies on who's the actual author of Gachiakuta. So in all honesty, it kind of makes me question, well, what is it really that is bothering Urana about this whole situation, and why even go about this route to begin with? Like, imagine if back in the days, the creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, would have started regulating people on how to do fan art or how to do anything regarding Dragon Ball. We would have never got some stuff like Dragon Ball AF, which ultimately a lot of those ideas somehow, some way ended up being incorporated into later works. And while this is not 100% confirmed, ultimately the major rumor is the fact of the person that did Dragon Ball AF, which was not only, of course, an original fan work that kind of, you know, utilized certain aspects, but kind of, well, expanded on them and essentially just made a whole Dragon Ball work themselves. The creator that was known as Toyble, a lot of people believe that Toyble is actually the artist, the current artist right now on Dragon Ball Super, Toyotaro. And if that is the case regarding that situation, if Toriyama back in the day would have been bugging out and saying, no, I don't want none of this, there would never be no Toyotaro, and who knows how Dragon Ball would be going right now. Not only that, but also the opportunity possibly never would have arose for Toyotaro if those earlier works never existed. And in general, I also think that it's just a very bad decision to start battling out with the fandom in general, because, well, one, you know, when it comes to the internet, there ain't no winning at the end of the day, especially if you sour enough of the internet to whatever you're doing. It's gonna be a real bad situation. Honestly, up until fairly recently, I actually looked at Urana like potentially a female counterpart, strictly as far as aesthetic goes and kind of that attitude, like the author Tite Kubo, because they kind of just both gave me a certain similar vibe. But one of the differences, one of the major differences between the two is, like, back in Kubo's day, when he went off on people, like, you know, we notoriously talked about, like, he went really in on people back in the day, that was because people were attacking his works, attacking his credibility as an author, and in general, a bunch of negative, nasty, malicious malice that went his way in those times. And that's, of course, very valid for somebody to come at the fans and say, yo, y'all need to chill out. With Urana's stuff, well, of all the hate comments, I will say that this one somewhat got it on the mark. Urana is goated, but low-key, she always be having a meltdown over nothing burger situations. Like, it's just people interacting with the IP. It's aight, dog. And honestly, that's genuinely how I feel about the situation. Y'all know me. I'm always the type of person that I usually try to back the authors because I understand this industry. I understand what these authors go through. I understand the nature of this whole scenario. But like with this scenario in particular, it's just kind of like, it comes across a bit as pretentious. Like, my work cannot be touched, or my work, you know, you have to abide by certain guidelines. Nobody's gonna follow that. I said it on Twitter or whatnot, but right now, somewhere in the world, there's possibly somebody in a third world country that is drawing Naruto like a moose and putting art by Kishimoto. And do you think if Kishimoto found out about this, he's going to give any type of shit about that situation? No. Likewise with majority of other successful authors. And I think Urana needs to kind of come to that term of, you cannot regulate situations like this. Everybody knows at the end of the day who created Gachiakuta. But as far as like letting people do what they want, so long as they're not doing anything that negatively impacts you, I say Urana just needs to kind of fall back on that. But I'm very curious what a lot of y'all think about this whole situation. Do y'all think that Urana is tripping and ultimately like making a huge fuss out of nothing? Or do you agree that an author has the right to regulate fan art, regulate how fans utilize these materials? Like, even if you feel like they have that right, again, it's the internet. People are going to do what they want, and having a, you know, meltdown and kind of attacking people like that, it's not going to do anything. And regardless of what, shout out to Rudo, shout out to Gachiakuta, but Urana, take my advice. But that's just my opinion. Moving forward, Hunter x Hunter fan fans, a major update for the series. It seems as though Yoshihiro Togashi has really stepped it up in these current times as far as making sure he is on the job and putting in work, and I'm sure any and every Hunter x Hunter fan that hears this right now loves to hear it. Because in case you don't follow the man on Twitter or you don't follow any of the updates regarding the series, since the last publication of Hunter x Hunter, I want to say the last chapter that was released was chapter 410, Yoshihiro Togashi has not just been sitting back and doing nothing. He's actually been putting work in and making sure that he keeps fans updated. Because as recent as like yesterday, as of the recording of this video, or today, the creator of Hunter x Hunter, Yoshihiro Togashi, gave another update that he just finished completing chapter 420's manuscript. So essentially, we are already roughly 10 chapters in of Hunter x Hunter manga content before even anything has been revealed as far as a return date for the series, as far as a new volume coming out, or anything like that. Hunter x Hunter is seemingly going good right now. It seems as though Togashi is stacking. It seems as though Togashi is making sure that he has a lot in the vault. And honestly, it's a really great thing to hear, because, you know, people try sometimes to play with Togashi's name, call him lazy, or say, you know what I'm saying, about his work ethic, but it seems as though this time around Togashi is coming full force. It seems as though this time around Togashi ain't playing with nobody, and he's got some stuff in the tuck. So anybody that tries to play with him, yeah, Hunter x Hunter, he got some stuff. But even more so, I think that this is just a great and amazing thing for Hunter x Hunter, because if he continues like this, like personally, I think, and mind you, not completely caught up with Hunter x Hunter, but in my opinion, I'd say he should do 10 more, 20 more before anything happens, before he puts out another chapter, before he puts out another volume. I'd say that he should keep on going, doing exactly what he's doing right now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure many Hunter x Hunter fans want more, and honestly, I could be wrong in this scenario, I'm not gonna lie, because the powers that be, the higher ups, might be looking at it like, yo, that's cute, but we gonna get this bread, homie. We getting that Hunter x Hunter out right now. Also, not to mention, of course, the anime return hopefuls that are like, yo, the quicker more chapters come out, the quicker we're gonna get the anime back. I hate to break it to you, but the Hunter x Hunter anime is only coming back whenever they say it's coming back. Other than that, it doesn't matter how many more chapters. There's a substantial amount of chapters that have come out ever since Hunter x Hunter went off air back in the day. There are many chapters that can be adapted into anime format. The fact that they haven't gone ahead yet with another anime, whether it be another 12 episodes or whatever, it could mean many different things. It could mean that they're waiting for the series to end so they can make another one. It could mean that Togashi in general was just basically being very firm on, like, until he's ready or until he reaches a certain point, it's not happening. Because let's be very clear, Hunter x Hunter, especially the latest anime that had came out, was very successful, extremely profitable. It got licensed like to every freaking app possible. It sold a quadrillion of everything. It helped the manga to rise once again to mainstream prominence. Like, Hunter x Hunter is no, you know, miss, so to speak, by any stretch of the imagination as far as success goes. So if you're thinking that, no, let him put out more chapters of the manga so we can get the anime quicker, like, I understand that logic, but more than likely the best way for the anime to come back is if Togashi reaches a certain point that is like, okay, this is a good cutoff point so that the anime could keep on going without having to go into any fillers or having to end off at a random place, similar to what he did with Hunter x Hunter with the last anime, where it actually ends at a point where if there's never another Hunter x Hunter anime again, it's okay, because it ended at a point that Togashi seemingly purposely set up to where it's like, yo, this is a perfect point that the series actually doesn't ever have to go any further, because it's kind of like almost not necessarily the stereotypical time skip, but essentially is like, well, it was a great stopping point. And so yeah, I hope Togashi keeps on with all of these updates. I hope he keeps on putting stuff in the vault. And once again, for anybody that want to play with him and, you know, say he lazy, does that in the third, homie got them receipts, and yeah, he got some stuff in the vault. Don't try it. But yeah, really great news for Hunter x Hunter, and hopefully Togashi continues on. Okay, so Demon Slayer fans, I got some interesting news. This is kind of somewhat of something that has circulated back, because I do want to say that maybe sometime last year we spoke about this, because apparently it's been updated yet again that Demon Slayer by Koyo Harugo Toge is projected to surpass Naruto in manga sales with the push of Infinity Castle Arc movie trilogy. Latest sales data shows that it was 30 million sales behind at 220 million total sales before the first movie's release. And I believe they're talking about the Infinity Castle first movie, not the actual, Demon Slayer first movie, because yeah, that's a different story. And I'll be honest, there's a little bit behind this whole scenario that kind of makes me look at it like I'm curious what the actual numbers are. And what I mean by that is, ever since recently we got those updated numbers that showcase the amount of sales that digital are bringing in, considering the fact that I don't think we've had an update on the circulation of Naruto manga in a very, very long time. I want to say since possibly like maybe 2019. I could be off on that. We haven't had a major update on Naruto sales. And with digital being on the rise, and in general we've had multiple updates of even current day now, when it comes to Naruto being on Netflix, it has performed and outperformed majority of even newer titles on the platform. And when stuff like that happens, a lot of people, whether it be new fans or people that are nostalgic, they will go back and buy those volumes, whether it be the physicals or the digitals. So while Demon Slayer might be catching up, ultimately, one, there's no update for a long time for Naruto what its actual sales are like if you combine all of the physical and digital, which I do want to add in the caveat that I don't think Demon Slayer's digital sales are being accounted for with that too, so that could actually boost its numbers as well. But even more so, I want to say that at the end of all of this, once the anime of Demon Slayer is completely finished with its run, I think the standing of the test of time is going to be the biggest test on which one actually has the most impact, because Demon Slayer has been hot as fish grease for many years now, right? Since pretty much one of those episodes in season 1 where it actually took off beyond words, Demon Slayer has been really, really hot. Naruto hasn't technically published a new manga chapter of the original serialization outside of, the spin-off and Boruto, which, while they're under the same franchise or whatnot, they're different series, and we already know how people feel about Boruto in comparison to Naruto. We also know the popularity of Boruto compared to Naruto is just different. It's been over a decade since a new chapter of the original Naruto manga, and I say all that to say that if a day comes where Naruto returns with a new series and potentially those numbers start adding back to the Naruto franchise as a whole, it just depends on Demon Slayer's legacy moving forward. I do think that Demon Slayer is going to have a very good legacy moving forward, considering the fact that its anime adaptation is pretty much second to none as far as the quality of it, the pacing and everything. Like, Demon Slayer's anime in all shapes and regards has been an upgrade for the franchise. So it's just going to be a matter of which one will stand the test of time. To have been released so many years after Naruto and to be doing these type of numbers, that says a lot. Now this one right here is very interesting because, well, there was a rumor circulating for a while now, and we reported on this over here on ForneverWorld News, that essentially CyberConnect 2, the same developers behind the Naruto Storm games, and they've done, I think, what, DBZ Kakarot, like they're very notable. Ultimately, there was going to be an announcement that they were coming with a new game, and there was basically a rumor of either two different things happening. The rumors was either a Jujutsu Kaisen fighting game or some sort of Jump Victory versus, or Jump Force type of game. But the big announcement that they came with kind of was disappointing to some fans. Some other fans were probably very excited about it, because February 16th marked the 30th anniversary of CyberConnect 2, and to commemorate it, they began development of .Hack 0, a new original game. This title will be fully published by CyberConnect 2 from planning to development to release, so essentially no Namco Bandai involvement, and ultimately it seems as though that's going to be an in-house thing. And if you don't know anything about .Hack, here's some information from the producer. It takes place in a world about 10 years from now, not too far from present day. Prior knowledge of the .Hack series ain't necessary. The development team is a mix of people who worked on the .Hack games with developers who played the .Hack games. The real world side will be more fleshed out with a deeper story, and .Hack novel has nothing to do with this game. And if you don't know about .Hack, essentially it was kind of like Sword Art Online before Sword Art Online exists, of the concept of being trapped in a video game. Yeah, one of those type of isekais, but it's like, the OG of it, so to speak. And honestly, I'm not really mad at it. When I heard about this, I was like, this is interesting. This is a revival of a really big franchise, and I'm looking forward to it. Solo leveling fans, I just wanted to give a quick update regarding that. They actually brought solo leveling to Fortnite with a collab. It was released, and you could play as Song Jin-woo, Igris, or Cha Hain, and that's just another testament to solo leveling's, success and its mainstream appeal. And of course, with that movie that's being worked on right now, this is just another testament to that thing is going to be very successful when it comes. I can see it now, because look, they put it in Fortnite. When they put things in Fortnite, and obviously they put a lot of things in Fortnite, but almost everything that they usually put in Fortnite is because it has some level of success that is noteworthy. And despite the fact that solo leveling is not a traditional traditional anime straight from Japan or anything like that, its success is still very much so there. So big ups to solo leveling hitting Fortnite. But that's all I have for this one. I'm Tim. As always, people, have an awesome day. Peace in.
Giving it my all, that's what I call the best way. Trying to distract me, dog, you better miss me.